Zero is my hero.
Welcome to the adventures of Math Girl. With the help of Pocket Ronnie, you also can become a trusty sidekick of Math Girl like PreCalculus and the Daring Derivative.
Counted on our fingers and toes. Now you're here to stay.
Okay, we're going to be doing degrees, minutes, seconds. A lot of times you will see it listed as DMS, degrees, minutes, seconds. In Trig and also in nautical and aerospace or aviation, that's what I'm trying to think of, you will see these symbols. Normally you've seen this as feet, inches. When you see these symbols listed with degrees, then those symbols are no longer feet and inches, they are minutes, seconds. You will also see this on a map when you're looking at latitude and longitude. When we're driving on roads, it's easy for us to navigate and to say directions on roads, but when you're in the air or you're out on sea, there are no landmarks, and so therefore in aviation and in the nautical world, directions are by degrees, minutes, and seconds. So you just need to remember degrees, then this is minutes, and this is seconds. We are going to learn how to convert this by hand, because when we calculate in the trig world, when we're calculating, we need to turn this into a decimal, 53 degrees. This is the same as 53 degrees and some decimal. So we are going to calculate, we're going to convert this into a decimal. So the first thing you need to know is that you should know this, that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. You should already know that. 60 seconds in 1 minute. And there are 60 minutes in 1 degree. So you just start from here, 60 seconds in 1 minute, 60 minutes in 1 degree. Okay, so these are your conversion factors that we can use to convert this into a decimal instead of in degrees, minutes, seconds. So in books you might see DMS, you're converting to degrees, and then we will also work on taking the degrees and converting it to DMS, to degrees, minutes, seconds. Right now we're going to learn how to do it by hand, because you need to understand how to do it by hand. Then we're going to use our calculator to make it easier for you, but you need to understand the process of doing it by hand. You need to follow the instructions in your book if it says to do it by hand, or on a test. If it says to do it by hand, you need to show the work by hand. If it doesn't say to do it by hand, then you can convert using your calculator. Okay? So the first thing you have to start with is converting the seconds into minutes. You start on the right hand side. We'll convert seconds to minutes, and then we'll convert minutes to degrees to turn this into a decimal. So the first thing we're going to start with is 10 seconds. We need to know how many. That's going to be a decimal or a fraction of a minute. So turning our seconds into minutes, 10 seconds. You do this the same way you've been doing conversion factors in math and in science. Same way. So 10 seconds here, so I want my seconds to go away. So that means seconds has to go on the bottom. 60 seconds in 1 minute. It means that those cancel, and now I do 10 divided by 60, which should just be 0.6. Nope. Not, that's the other way around. 10 divided by 60, I do that every year, is 0.16. I'm just going to go to 3 decimal places. I think it says to round to 2 decimal places. It says round the first step to your hundredths and then the final decimal to the thousandths. So I'm just going to go ahead and do to the thousandths decimal places for right now and just do everything to 3 decimal places. So that would be 0.167. So 10 divided by 60, 10 seconds is 0.167 minutes. So we take this and add it to that minutes right there. So now what we have right now is 53 degrees, 28, 10 seconds is 0.167 of a minute. So now we have 28.167 minutes. I took this fraction of the minute and added it with my minutes. I can combine minutes to minutes. So now I've got 28.167 minutes. So I need to convert the minute portion to degrees. So I'm ignoring the 53 degrees. Up here I ignored the 53 degrees and the 28 minutes, and I only converted the seconds part. Now I'm only going to convert the minutes part, so I'm only converting that part. So I'm going to convert the 28.167 minutes. I'm going to turn that to a fraction. I want my minutes to go away, so minutes needs to be in the denominator. And using your conversion factors up here, there are 60 minutes in 1 degree. So now my minutes go away, and so I take my 28.167 and divide it by 60, and you get 0.469, and that is degrees because that's my unit that's left over. So now I take my 0.469 and add it to my whole number portion of my degrees. So then your final answer will be 53.469 degrees. So basically what we did is we took 53 degrees and 28 minutes and 10 seconds is the same as 53.469 degrees. We just took all this and put into a decimal portion, or a part of a degree, a fraction answer, and put it with our degrees. So there are two different ways you can state degrees. You can either state it in degrees, minutes, seconds with those units, or as a decimal with just degrees. Okay, let's do 5B16. You will see a pattern that you're just dividing by 60 every time. Here we have 88 degrees, 0 minutes, and 40 seconds. So we need to start with your seconds portion, convert it into minutes, and then we'll convert our minutes into degrees, into just a decimal portion of degrees. So we're going to start with our seconds. So we're going to take our 40 seconds and we're going to convert it into minutes. So I normally turn that into a fraction. My seconds have to go on the bottom, so those will cancel. 60 seconds in 1 minute, that cancels. So then I'm just doing 40 divided by 60. I'm going to take that to 3 decimal places, 0.667 minutes. Now I can take my fraction of my minutes and add it to the minutes that I have here. Okay, I don't have any minutes here, but I'm still going to call that. So I still have 88 degrees and then 0 minutes and 0.667 minutes. I didn't have any minutes to add this to, so it's just still 0.667 minutes. Now I need to take this, my minutes portion, and convert it into degrees. So just take your minutes portion, 0.667 minutes, you can turn that into a fraction. Minutes has to go in the denominator, so it will cancel. There are 60 minutes in 1 degree. The way I always thought about it, it's degrees, minutes, seconds, but you can also think of it as hours, minutes, seconds. Okay? 10 seconds, or 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. So this is degree, but you can also think of it as 60 minutes in an hour. So 60 minutes in 1 degree, 60 minutes in 1 hour. Our minutes cancel, so they only have degrees left. So 0.667 divided by 60 is 0.011 degrees. Now we can add this degree, this fraction of a degree, with our whole degrees over here. So we have 88.011 degree. That is in decimal form. That is the same thing as 88 degrees, 0 minutes, and 40 seconds. This is just using degrees, minutes, seconds units. This is just using just degrees, and it's in decimal. So they're the same thing, it's just in different units. It's the same as saying 12 inches equals 1 foot. They're the same thing, they're just in different units. Okay, now we're actually going to use our calculator. You need to know how to do those by hand, but we're going to use our calculator to convert, because we have been given a nifty computer in the palm of our hands and we want to know how to use this tool to make life a little simpler. So we're essentially doing 5B18, but that problem was connected to 5B14. So we are converting 53 degrees, 28 minutes and 10 seconds, but instead of doing it by hand, we are doing it with our calculator. You should get the same answer that we just did by hand. So, we did it by hand, so we should know the answer that we're going to get. So, doing it on your calculator. All calculators are different, but I'm just going to show you this one. So, on this calculator here, there's a button right here that's degrees, minutes, seconds button. Okay, so those symbols are degrees, minutes, and seconds. So the way that you would put this in your calculator, we need to put in the 53 degrees, 28 minutes. So the first thing you do is you put in your number, your degree, 53, then you have to hit this button to tell it, is that my degree, is that my minutes, or is that my seconds? So hit this button, then it's underlining my degree symbol, so I can hit enter because now I want it to know that that's the degrees. So now it tells me 53 degrees. Okay, now do 28, and now I have to hit that button again, and now you can use your arrow buttons to scoot over because now that's a minute. Now it's underlining the minutes, so I can hit enter. So my calculator says 53 degrees, 28 minutes. Now I put in my 10, hit my degrees, minutes, seconds button, and now use my arrows to scoot over to my seconds. So I want to tell my calculator it's my seconds. The calculator will only do what you're telling it to. Then you can hit enter. Now double check. I have 53 degrees, 28 minutes, and 10 seconds. Now hit enter one more time and it should turn it into a decimal. 53.469 to 3 decimal places. And so on your calculator, you got 53.469, and that's what we got by hand, and that's in degrees. You're going from degrees, minutes, seconds to a decimal in degrees. Okay, now we're going to be doing 5B20. This correlates with 5B16. 88 degrees, 0 minutes, 40 seconds. We already converted it by hand in 5B16. Now we're going to do it with the calculator. This 0 minutes is going to be a key thing in the calculator. So in your calculator, if you tell it 88 and then hit your degrees, minutes, seconds button, and then tell it degrees, 88 degrees. Now you need to tell it 0 minutes. Okay, you have to tell it 0, and it would be good practice just to put in 2 places, because for the minutes place, it's allowing 2 numbers, because minutes can go all the way up to 60 or 59. So it's just a good practice. You can just do 1 0, but it's a good practice to do 2 zeros. Hit your degrees, minutes, seconds button. Now tell it minutes. Hit your enter. Now we want to do 40 seconds. Degrees, minutes, seconds button. Arrow over to your seconds unit, enter. Now you have everything in 88 degrees, 0 minutes, 40 seconds. Hit enter and it will tell you 88.011. So that came out to 88.011 degrees, and that's what we calculated it to be earlier. Okay, just to prove this to you, I'm actually going to show you on the calculator that you need to put in something for the minutes when there's 0, okay? Because I can put in 88 degrees, and then let's just say I'm not going to put in any of the minutes, okay? So 0 minutes, so I'm just going to put in the 40 seconds, and then I'm telling it I want it to be seconds, so I hit enter. I've got 80 degrees, 40 seconds, and then hit enter. It's going to tell me syntax error. Your calculator wants you to put in something for the minutes. You have to put in something for the minutes, even if it's 0. That is a value. You're telling it no minutes. So it's very crucial to do that. Okay, we just did degrees, minutes, seconds to decimal in our calculator. Now we're going to go from decimal to degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay, so we're looking at 5B26. This also correlates with 5B22. In 5B22, they were asking us to find the arc cosine of 0.9722. So, again, your calculator. So, finding the arc cosine, you're using the inverse sign. The inverse cosine. So you're using your second button with the cosine button, and then you're putting in your 0.9722, and then you hit enter. So this was 13.54 degrees, okay? So we're going to take 13.54 degrees, and I'm just rounding to the hundredths place. Theoretically, you can keep this whole thing in your calculator, okay? Because this is a degrees. We're going to change this degrees. I'm not even going to clear it from my calculator, okay? I'm just going to leave the whole thing. we can change this decimal of degrees into degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay? The way you do that is you still push your degrees, minutes, seconds button. Again, this is for this calculator. All calculators are different, but for this particular calculator, I can hit my degrees, minutes, seconds button. See, I have degrees, minutes, seconds, but if you keep arrowing over all the way, now you have DMS, because I'm going from decimal to DMS. So I'm already in decimal, and then it's going to take my answer and put it into DMS, and I can hit enter again, and then that tells me that it's 13 degrees, 32 seconds, 32 minutes, 29.9 seconds, and we can just round that to 30 seconds. Okay, so I can make that 13 degrees, 32 minutes, and I'm just going to round up to 30 seconds. Okay, I do want to show you, if I was just to take 13.54 degrees, I want to show you how the difference in rounding is. If I took 13.54 degrees and I wanted to round that, or not round it, if I wanted to convert that to degrees, minutes, seconds using my calculator, this is in decimal, so to convert it to degrees, minutes, seconds, hit your degrees, minutes, seconds button, arrow over, keep going until you get to DMS. Now you hit enter. Now it's saying we're going to convert 13.54 degrees into degrees, minutes, seconds. Hit enter one more time, and now I've got 13 degrees, 32 minutes, and 24 seconds. I want the difference in these two answers. This degrees, minutes, seconds came from this rounded value. This degrees, minutes, seconds came from doing your arc cosine, and then I never changed any of my decimals in my calculator. I kept everything in my calculator and then just went straight to converting it to this. This is what you'll see in the back of the book. This is if you do your answer, degrees, minutes, seconds from the rounded degrees. So just want to show you the difference of when you round, then when you go to degrees, minutes, seconds, your seconds will be a little off. It's really no big deal at this stage of the game, because when you're doing trig in high school, you're not doing design level work out in the real world. In the real world, design level is really important, but just want to show you the difference in when you go to degrees, minutes, seconds from a rounded value. Okay, now we're going to look at 5B27. That correlated with 5B23, which was arc tangent of 3.3333. So we need to get a degree value for this arc tangent, this decimal. So we're going to use our second button. So the second of tangent, that will get us the inverse, or the arc tangent of 3.3333, and that is 73.30 degrees. So 73.30 degrees. Okay, I'm just going to leave this whole thing in my calculator. I'm not even going to take it away, because now I'm going to change this decimal of degrees into degrees, minutes, and seconds. So how do you do that? Hit your degrees, minutes, seconds button, arrow over to where you want to change it into degrees, minutes, seconds. Now you can hit enter. Now it's going to take your answer and put it into degrees, minutes, seconds. So hit enter one more time. And now you've got 73 degrees, 18 minutes, and 2.15 seconds. Well, you can round your seconds. You don't have to put your seconds into a decimal. So 73 degrees, 18 minutes, and 2 seconds. So now I'm going to go back and just put in straight this value without with rounding. So let's just say I did 73.30. Hit my degrees, minutes, seconds button, arrow over to my DMS, hit enter one more time, and then you can see how the changes to 73 degrees, 18 minutes, and 0 seconds. This is the difference in rounding.